All right, let's see. Is take 3 the charm? uh, yeah, I've had a couple of takes at this already. But it is what it is. So, first we have to remove somebody that doesn't need to be in the shot again. First we have this holiday cactus, Christmas cactus, Easter cactus, whatever you want to call it. And they're pretty straightforward to grow. But this one seems quite heavy, despite looking, well, since it's been here a couple of days, it looks a little less peaked than it did. It was looking all dried out and sad, and it's still looking a little sad, but not as bad as it did. And it feels a little heavy, so I thought, maybe it doesn't need water. Maybe it's got too much water. So I touched it, and sure enough, the soil feels wet, like it's got too much water. But let's say it didn't. Let's say you're still wondering. There's a nice little device that doesn't want to come into focus. It's a moisture meter. And if it'll ever come into focus, anyway, it's a moisture meter. Oh, there we go. Poof. Any K will do. Yeah, my hand's not steady, so it doesn't want to stay in focus. So, but it's a moisture meter, and you can see red, green, and blue. This one's old, so I'm going to go ahead and stick it directly in the tank. I don't know how good this is for it, especially a second time. But I'm going to stick it directly in the tank, and it goes up just barely into moist. It's kind of right in the line between dry and moist. Well, directly in the tank like this, it should be wet, huh? Because there's a wet reading over there on blue, but it's just barely moist. Well, I think after several years, the battery is probably getting weak. But despite that, I'm going to put it in the cactus and see what kind of a reading we get. That's closer to wet. Now it's writing on the line of moist and wet. Okay. That's a little interesting. When it's really wet in the tank, it reads moist. When it's in the plant, it practically reads wet. Like I said, the meter is getting old, but regardless of its age, and I'll go ahead and stick it back in here, see if it, yeah, now it's up there. Now it's up there on the wet side, so I'm going to say maybe going directly in the tank like that's not the best idea. And I proved a point, I guess, but the point's proven. I won't be putting it in the tank like that anymore. So, this doesn't need water. It needs to dry out. So, you know, anybody thinking if a plant looks dry, it must be dry? No, I probably got a whole lot of rotten roots, but I'm going to let it dry out, and it'll be okay. Or it'll die, and I'll look for another one. Maybe like a white one this time. I don't know. Now, for the orchid, the Phalaenopsis, that made me go, ooh, you need to do a video because I do things fast and you don't want it to, the whole concept to disappear. We've got, what am I filming? Everything but what I need to be? We've got Phalaenopsis. We've got the old matriarchal leaf. We've got 2 new leaves. And Keiki, which is doing pretty well, don't you think? Don't you think? Don't you think? Okay. I was looking at it. Let's see if I can get a little bit better of an angle. And I thought, you know, that looks more like a Keiki coming out of the top than new leaves of an orchid. And if I can get it to focus, let's set it down. Come down here and see if it'll focus. Looks like the goose needs to be stood up. There it is. It looks like the matriarchal leaf is cracking away, and there's a new plant coming out the base. The top of the base, but the base, doesn't it? Kind of see what I mean? I don't know if this is the best angle, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like a 2-leafed keiki coming out of the base. So I wanted to film that before the matriarchal leaf. Oh my goodness, this is getting painful. Hang on. Okay, I wanted to film that before the matriarchal leaf dried up and died. It looks like, and I've never seen that before. Okay, I've only seen this like 5 times now, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a keiki is coming out the top of the base. Coming out of the leaf, yes, but not as new leaves as a new plant. So my guess, which is somewhat self-fulfilling because this matriarchal leaf is going to die at some point, but it's going to die, and I'm going to have 2 baby plants. So it might be a minute, and by a minute I mean a year or more, before we see the purple blooms again. But I don't know. I would say, you know, you can comment down below if you've ever seen this happen. That would be great on a larger channel. But I've got 17 subscribers, and 3 of those subscribers are commenters. What do you mean you only ever see 1 person commenting down below? Oh, that's right. It's because you do only see 1 person's comments down below. Of my 3 active viewers, and really there's like a top 2 active viewers and a top 1. Pretty easy with these low numbers to do that. 1 kind of has to comment down below because that viewer doesn't have what I'll call direct access to me. The other 2 do. So I get their comments privately, basically. They either talk to me in person or, maybe call me on the phone, and I get their input that way. Which is fine. If they don't want to publicly comment, they're close enough to me that they do have my phone number and can get a hold of me that way. One doesn't. So, I've basically got 3 active commenters, but you would never know it because you only see the one. Okay, yeah. So, I've protected their identity outside of, they're close to me. No names, no locations, no nothing. Just people that can make their comments privately and directly. So, yeah. I'm sure that 2 of you have never seen that. The one person I don't know so well, so maybe. And sometimes, well, a lot of the time I get other views that don't comment. So maybe one of you go, oh, that's perfectly normal. It's possible for a plant phalaenopsis to do that. They do that from time to time. Not every time, maybe that's the case. I don't know. I do know a terminal spike from the base is allegedly the end of the plant. But if you get a terminal spike, how likely is it that maybe you'll get a keiki off the side? Another question to which I don't have an answer. So, yeah. Just a little quickie. A tip for if you're not quite sure if you should water. Sometimes you've got a bigger pot than this. Maybe you got one this size. And you don't know. You can dig around at the surface with your finger. But what if the moisture starts 2 inches down? Well, this thing goes nearly to the bottom of this pot. Good luck getting a finger that deep. You'll have an awful big hole. And I'll go ahead and I'll see. Moist. It doesn't need water. It can dry out more. And I'm way down there. Way down there. That's 4 or 5 inches down. Oh, I'm not even in shot. Okay. 4 or 5 inches down. A good, well, going from the bottom up, I can't get my finger in it, but I put it down in the webbing of my index finger, in between my index finger and the next finger. There's another inch before you get to where. Duh. I was like, where's the camera at? Well, it's not in front of the phone, it's behind the phone. Although, technically, there is one in front of the phone, but that's not the one we're using. So, yeah. Right about there, where my middle finger is about where my index finger stopped. And then I got all that until you get to the soil level that I had it into. There's, a couple inches above, but yeah. And I was at moisture. But you're not going to go digging that deep into a pot to look for moisture with your finger. Now, granted, it starts showing moisture. There is where it actually starts. But it doesn't really register until you get that deep. It is what it is. But I like, if you're going to have to dig your finger into... I thought I found a trick. If you're going to have to dig your finger into the pot and get your finger dirty, you might as well invest in one of these things. I don't remember how much it was, but it's, I don't know, more than 5 years old. Still works well enough. I mean, it gives you an idea. I think it might have been somewhere between $15 and $20. And I don't convert money. I can convert temperature because of that thing there. It's got Fahrenheit on one side and Celsius on the other. Yes, it's making me a little bit lingual in temperature, but I can always look at that and just convert it real easy. No, I'm not doing the math. I'm just, like the other day when I said, hang on, I'll give you, yeah, I just looked at that. Real fast conversion. So, because it is that painfully easy, yes, I will convert back and forth. The bigger reason, above and beyond it being easy, is I realize most of the world works on Celsius. So there's reason there to take the time to convert it over. And if it's that easy, why not? If I was using Celsius, I might not convert for the US, and I think there's another small part of the world. But most of the world's gone over to Celsius. I think we should go to Kelvin, because they argue that, Fahrenheit's not as accurate as Celsius. Except Celsius isn't the most accurate either. Kelvin is preferred by science. But that's an even bigger conversion, Most of the world would have to convert from Celsius to Kelvin. Not so many people would have to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. But as long as we stay in our areas, we don't really need to anyway. But oh wait, I'm not really staying in my area. I'm on YouTube, which can go around the world. I'll convert to Celsius. If you're a scientist that lives by Kelvin, I suspect at home you probably go by Celsius. Maybe Fahrenheit. But anyway, that's enough of temperature. Yes, I will convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, but that's as far as I'm willing to go. I'd have to, yeah. So, but that's what I'm curious about today. Is that leaf going to die? And am I starting over again with the third generation of kikis? Or do I have the old plant? That is not a hole in the leaf. Trust me, it's just a bit of water. Now that's a kiki. But is that a kiki? Or is it the old plant? I think that soon enough that leaf is going to die, and I'm going to be left with a 2-leaf keiki. That's my 2 cents for today. And I suppose I will talk to you next time. Because you can't see me. You can kind of talk to me. Anyhow, let's not go on another tangent. I will talk to you next time. Till then.